Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hypnosis Hero. That's right, we're back again. We are here to hypnotize you through the screen. Each week, we bring on some of the world's greatest hypnotists. And when I say the world's greatest hypnotists, last week we had really what's considered one of the greatest hypnotists in the world by MTV and a lot of sources. You saw that show, Salish. Tonight, we have somebody who's a Vegas headliner, comedy hypnotist. So you know this guy's a big deal. Before I do that, I'm going to bring on, of course, one of my trusty sidekicks, Shawn Kostiuk. Shawn Kostiuk, how's your week been?
It's been quite the week. I'll tell you, the weather here in Canada has been really, really weird. I even had to put on some flannel. It's getting cold.
Well,
like winter's around the corner or something.
that is too bad, my friend. Too bad. Hey, if you're tuning in for the first time, what we do on this show is we invite the world's greatest hypnotists to join us. Sometimes it's a stage hypnotist, sometimes it's a hypnotherapist. What we do is we talk to them for about 45 minutes or an hour, and then we do hypnosis through the screen. Sometimes it's a therapeutic type for stress or whatever, and sometimes it's hypnosis for fun. Now, if this is your first time watching, we do want to let you know, or well, anyone who's watching, we'll let you know, hypnosis will happen during this program. So, especially later on in the show, when we say we're doing hypnosis, you will want to not be driving. Don't be baking a cake. You need to be sitting down, lying down in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. I wanted to ask you about your show, Shawn. How was your show, buddy? You did a show a couple weeks ago.
I did a show at just about the end of June. Despite a couple of odd communication errors with the venue itself, I think we pulled off a pretty good show. For those of you that don't know, I partnered up with a friend of mine who is a magician. So I did the opening act, which I had to say, if I had another half hour, I probably would have, had gotten through most of what I had actually planned for. So I had definitely over planned, but I think overall it was really, really good. Lots of positive feedback. Should get the video by the end of this month, and then we'll start crunching it and getting it out for people to see.
That's awesome. Hey, we have got Carol here, says that she is so excited for this. Yes, Carol, we're excited too. I know you're in Arizona. We've got a bunch of people watching right now. Where are you watching from? If you're watching, Shawn's in Canada, I'm in Seattle, Carol's down in Arizona. Where are you watching from? Our guest, our super special guest, I do want to let you know too, our guest, of course, lives in Vegas. He's from Michigan. We're going to dive into his story and really great stuff. I just had a chance to talk to him a few days ago. We are doing a special episode tonight on Sunday instead of Friday because he's a Vegas headliner. He works every Friday and Saturday night, except when he's got something takes him out of town for a wedding or something. But so we couldn't get him on a Friday night, so that's why we're having him come on today. So we've got Dave Edwards is in Florida. And let's see. Oh, look at that. Carol is attending Kevin's class in October. Fantastic. Well, guess what? Carol let the cat out of the bag. Shawn, what do you say we go ahead and bring on our very special guest tonight?
Let's do it.
This guy has been headlining Vegas for many, many years. He's been ranked, he's been called the number one Vegas hypnotist by many sources. I should go look at his bio real quick, but I forgot to have it pulled up and ready. Most of you, if you know anything about stage hypnosis, you already know about him. He's one of the few stage hypnosis shows going on in Vegas right now. And he's actually the longest running hypnosis show in Vegas at this time. I believe the one that's currently going, and really just a nice guy, down to earth guy. We're going to be talking about some stuff like I really love his take on bullying and things like that. So I'm really excited to bring him on. Let's get ready and bring Kevin Lepine to the stage. Kevin.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Carol. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow.
Hello from Las Vegas. Hey, Jim, would I be rude if I hijacked for just a second?
Not at all. Please do.
Shawn, was that one of your first shows?
It was my first show in a very, very, very long time.
Okay,
and
this is
much
awesome.
older than I look.
No, so first of all, this is awesome because there is nothing more important if you want to do shows than actually going out and doing them. I always tell people, go out, learn in the best way you can, find a good teacher, find a good mentor, find somebody who can really get you there. But then you've got to go out and do the shows. Because if you don't do the shows, you've never really learned anything. So I've been doing shows in Vegas for 13 years, 5 nights a week. Before that, fortunate enough, performed in all 50 states, performed in multiple countries, performed anywhere. And if you don't mind me hijacking this for a second, I'd
Please.
love to talk to you, Shawn, about you doing this show that you just did. And let's talk about a couple of things, like some pitfalls that you felt. Because with you just having done a show, it would be great to kind of talk about like pitfalls and moments and what you wish had gone differently and what I could tell you would make that easier next time. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who have only done a couple of shows watching us today, or maybe haven't done one yet. So, like, Shawn,
let me get my list.
Perfect. In fact, one thing that you said, I'm going to do a quick screen share if you don't mind.
Yes.
Let me see if this works. There we go.
I may have,
So first of all, does that work? Can everybody see that?
no. Let me make sure. Let me give you some permissions and see if that works. Let me see.
I'm almost hesitant to say no. Don't do anything because then I'm going to get bumped out of the time warp again and reboot. But no, I'm excited to hear this.
Okay,
yeah, me
so
too.
It's not sharing that.
Well,
Or not?
you got some free training coming up, eh?
It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not sharing, Kevin.
Okay, then
I just gave you some new permissions. You might be able to now.
Okay, perfect. Let me try this one more time, just because of something that Shawn said. So, share screen. Go to my windows. Share this window. Let's hope
Let
this
me give a
works.
shout out to a few people. We got
That
Dave
worked?
in Florida. No, if it's something you
Okay.
can send to me and I can share?
Yep.
I don't
Then
know
I'm going to post it in the chat.
Oh, good. Okay.
So let me do that first.
I don't know if you even have access to the chat. Let me
I don't
give you on
think I
support
do.
and then you will. This thing is, there's a lot of different little things to do. Hold on. We give you support. Now you should be able to post in the chat, not the private chat, the live chat.
Yes. There we go. So first of
Yeah,
all,
Becker.
that is a great little device right there for when you're doing shows. What I just put in there is something that you can buy off of Amazon. It's a little recorder that hooks into any video camera, live records straight to a USB stick.
Oh,
so immediately after your show, it is done, it is ready to go, and it's ready for you to watch it. But Shawn, let's talk about what's one thing that stands out in your mind. You said that if you had 30 more minutes, you'd be able to do all this stuff. Was there something that you felt dragged? Was there something that you felt you wish you had been better prepared for, or that you were underprepared for?
Yeah. So just to back things up, so everybody's got full context. The venue didn't communicate to us about the ticket sales, so we were expecting a crowd of 200, and we actually only had a crowd of about 61.
Okay.
That said, we did what any good entertainer would do. The show goes on. It doesn't matter if there's only 2 people in the audience. I was fortunate enough to get about 7 people to volunteer.
Okay. Wait, let's go back one step, though.
Okay.
So really quickly, this is going to be something that happens a lot when you're doing shows, is you're going to have far less people than you'd like to have in the venue. First rule, one of the first things that I put in my rider sheet is that the front row can never be any further than 6 feet away from the stage. Otherwise, you'll end up doing a corporate event where you have the 40-foot dance floor of death between you and the audience, and
So
nothing's going to work.
Right.
In that environment, you've got 61 people in a 200-seat room. The first thing you have to do is make sure management pushes everybody to the front. If you can have them take out 125 seats and have 75 seats in a 61-seat show, out of 61 audience members, laughter is also mob mentality. The tighter people are in, the more laughter you're going to get, the bigger of a response you're going to get. The more separated people are, the more they don't want to disturb somebody 2 tables over, and they won't clap or respond as loudly.
Right.
Kevin, quick question.
Yeah.
If I wanted to jump in, is
Yes.
that also it kind of makes them feel a little bit more exclusive, rather than like, hey, we're 90% full, rather than, all right, we're like the only 15 people that showed up.
No one wants to see a lot of empty chairs in a room. Psychologically, if you could pull the chairs, but okay, so that's just quickly touching on that. Let's keep going, Shawn.
Yeah. So just to give you the context from the stage view, the place was called Dark Hall. It's been recently renovated. Kind of looks like an old style church inside. The stage is a little bit separate, and the first 2 rows are definitely within 6 feet. They're so close to the stage. They just marked them off, which is part of the reason we thought we had a lot more sales than we did, so that nobody would buy there. And so the first row was actually the 3rd row of the theater. And most people were in the first 15 rows. A few people up in the balcony that probably shouldn't have been there, but overall, most of the people were closer to the front. I'm a teacher, so I get people sitting at the back, and I know how to pick on them properly. Yep. So pre-talk was as efficient as I could make it.
Hold on. I'm going to stop for a second.
Okay.
Doing shows.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the term pre-talk. The reason I hate the term pre-talk is pre-talk gives you a mental excuse to not be interesting for 15 minutes. Johnny Carson never did a pre-talk, did he?
He did an opening monologue, right?
He did an opening monologue.
Okay.
There's a difference. And understand that we're talking semantics here, but these semantics are important. If you're going out and doing a pre-talk, you've given yourself an excuse not to be funny, not to be engaging, not to be interesting. You've given yourself an excuse to be technical. If, on the other hand, you look at it as an opening monologue, now the onus is on you to make that interesting and engaging and to bring people in. Because if it's an opening monologue, you've got a better shot at getting more people to come up and volunteer. And please don't think I'm ripping on you when I'm saying these things. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm criticizing you, but we're just going quickly through
I'm
moments.
a teacher. I'm a teacher. The best way to learn is to rip it apart and put it back together again.
Yes.
And that doesn't always necessarily work if it's a Band-Aid that you're ripping apart, but anyway, we'll carry on. No, the opening sequence, the monologue, went well. It could have been a little more efficient. I was quick to nip the elbow-itis in the bud, so to speak, because there were a lot of people that were starting to, hey, get up there. And I said, no, if you're doing that, you're coming with them. And that stopped it right there. So I made sure I was able to get people that actually wanted to volunteer.
Now, before you ask for volunteers, and I feel bad for what I'm about to say, because we're comparing literally 13 years of doing it every night to your first show.
Yep.
Actually, why are you feeling bad for giving him tips for success? You're just building him up.
I know it's just because I can't think of a way to say, why didn't you get 14 or 15? Why didn't you get about 20 to 25% out of 61 people to volunteer? Mm-hmm. And the way I'm going to ask that a little bit better and more effectively is, what did you promise them would happen when they came up that would encourage them to want to be up there? So, for example, one of the things that I do in my show a lot is I open up in the beginning by explaining how much fun you're going to have up here. I also explain
the carrot to get them up on stage.
The carrot, and then I also quickly explain who I don't want. Like, one of the first things that I'll say up there is the number one person I don't want on stage. I don't want anyone on stage who wants to prove to me they can't be hypnotized. You win. And I will literally do it like that. Because I can't. And then I make it clear, I'm going to introduce some of you to your brand new favorite thing, but I can't make you want to do it. If I could force people to be hypnotized, all of Las Vegas would be called Kevin's Big Ass Funhouse.
Yeah.
But immediately what I do by doing that is I'm taking all the challenge out of it. I'm removing anything that sounds like this is a battle between you and I. And I'm making it sound more like it's a cooperation thing. And then to that cooperation, I add in the 2 or 3 benefits you're going to get from being up here. That's my main goal in my opening monologue, is I want to explain who I don't want. I want to explain the benefits you're going to get, and I want to show how easy and simple hypnosis is, how relatable it is. And that helps to get volunteers. Because, all right, here's one of the problems we have as hypnotists. The 4 of us on this screen cannot swing a dead cat without hitting 3 hypnotists in our world. The 61 people who came to your show, there's a real good chance 58 of them had no idea what a hypnosis show was. I mean, none, 0, no idea.
Yeah.
So they don't know if they want to volunteer because they don't even know what it is. So getting that out clearly makes it a lot easier. Now, I will also say, pardon?
Do you also explain what it isn't? Like, it's not this MK Ultra CIA mind control as much as Mission Impossible would love to make.
Yeah, not so much, because the more I explain the negative, the more technical it becomes.
Right.
The faster I can move through the negative and get to the positive, the more engaging it is. But also, Shawn, when I say that out of 60 people, I'm going to get about 15 people to volunteer, I also had an advantage you don't have. I had, if I've got 65 people in my showroom, all 65 people have a ticket that says, Hypnosis Unleashed starring Kevin Lepine. They're walking past posters that say Hypnosis Unleashed, #1 hypnosis show in Vegas. They're coming into my showroom. They're watching a video that's going for 30 minutes before it starts. There is also something to be said for the prestige of being up there, makes getting people up there a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're already pre-primed.
Yep.
Mentally.
Hi, Mark. Okay, so let's continue. So you got the 7 people up there, and then what?
Went through the induction. I think it probably went a little longer than I needed it to.
No, it did not. I will say this right now, and sorry for interrupting you.
That's okay.
The induction takes as long as the induction takes. If you rewatch your video and later go, you know what, I think I can cut that moment, or hey, as I'm watching this now, I'm seeing these 3 or 4 people were right where I needed them. I could have moved it quickly. That's fine. The audience has no idea how long your induction is supposed to be. There are nights that my induction is 3 minutes. There's nights at 6. There's nights it's 8. The induction is as long as it needs to be. You are the only person timing yourself.
Okay, that's good to know. I had one person who hit the Esdale State, and 3 others that I kept as volunteers, and I sent 2 back to the audience.
Now, in that moment, there's a great thing there. There are nights when you do shows where you end up with 3 people, and of the 3, 1 is awesome, 2 are definitely up there. But what you can start to do, because you also have to remember the audience doesn't know what's supposed to happen. They don't know what's coming. If you make the 1 look like a star, if you make that 1 who is perfect look like they are great, then you can make the other 2 look good around them. The more it's about making that person look like a star and making that person look special, I'm going to go back to Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson was known for being so great because he made every guest on his show seem like they were the most interesting person in the world. So good job keeping them. Let's keep going.
Okay, and then we started off with giving them suggestions. I had one person who was going to be the most ultimate spy and would hide somewhere on stage whenever I said it was spy time. Had another lady, a little bit older, kind of a granny, but had this really kind of could go either way, really stern, really soft look. And I made her the laugh police.
Okay.
And
how many routines did you forget while you were up on stage that you wanted to do?
I had a list.
Where was it?
tape behind them.
Good. That is the
Yeah.
number one thing that I tell hypnotists, especially when you're starting. Metallica will do more shows than you. Metallica has to do the same show every night because of the lights and pyro. And James Hetfield has a set list and a teleprompter. Tape your set lists behind the chairs. Tape induction outlines. Tape anything you need. Have them there as a guide.
Yep.
Love
No, I had it all. I had about 15 or 20 routines, and then from there, when I did
Perfect.
get to the venue, I was just kind of looking around, thinking, okay, I think this will work. This will work. This will work. I'll take this, this, and this. I cherry picked 12 of them, and I got
Yep.
through about 8 of them.
I always recommend that your first 2 or 3 routines are something that everybody can do with their eyes closed.
Yep.
Anytime their eyes are open, the ability for their friends or family to pull focus is there, or just general stage nervousness can be there. When their eyes are closed, it's easier to get different reactions, and it's easier for you to start evaluating who you think is going to be the best for what.
Yeah.
I will give every new hypnotist one fun piece of advice. For as long as you can, avoid having people talk on stage. Unless you are asking a question that you can get a direct answer. If I ask a volunteer an open-ended question, you have to remember how scared people are to be on stage. That fear, that being up there, that nervousness. And remember, you're bypassing the critical factor anyway. So getting them to answer open-ended questions is difficult. So for example, occasionally I'll do something where, I knock a guy up on stage. And as soon as he opens up his eyes, I'll just point at his stomach and I'll look at him and, I'll point to that and I'll just go, how far along are you? There's only one of 9 answers he can give. I make it simple. Point to someone on stage you think may have done this to you. If I'm going to ask them a question, it has to be something that I've already guided them to the answer to. Like, for example, the Martian routine. And first of all, if anybody is doing shows, if you want somebody to speak in a different language, make them aliens. I watched a hypnotist a few years ago. This hypnotist decided he would tell all the people on stage that they now spoke Japanese. There was a group of 5 Asian women in the front row who immediately stood up and handed this hypnotist their ass because they felt that their culture was being made fun of. And it was. On the other hand, you're from Venus, you're from Mars, you're from a whole different galaxy. Nothing is offensive about that. In doing a hypnosis show, I believe the more inclusive you are, the better you're going to do. There are great comics whose job it is to be divisive, whose job it is to be George Carlin, to speak to power. I don't think as a hypnosis show, that's our job. Our job is to be as inclusive as possible. So once again, though, asking a question, like what I'll do is I will have the interpreter, would you ask them what they enjoy about Earth? And they'll, give whatever, Martian response. So what do they say they like about Earth? Now I'm giving the interpreter something directly to answer, not an open-ended question. It just gets to the point so much faster. I also would avoid routines like you're going to run and hide, because to me that sounds like you're going to get out of your chair, trip over somebody, and break your knee.
Yeah. Fortunately, go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I was going to say, I literally had somebody run off stage. This was years ago. They ran off stage, ran out the doors at a camp, and I'm like, oh my God, catch him, So yeah, definitely.
It is getting harder and harder for new hypnotists to get insurance.
Yeah.
And do you know what the number one insurance claim is against hypnotists right now?
What's that?
For stage hypnotists, somebody give me a guess.
I've got a guess. It's
what is it?
Is it the catalepsy where like they put the your
Nope.
head on one side and feet on the other side, and you're like a bridge?
Nope,
and
but
someone
that's
gets hurt?
guaranteed you're going to get sued one day.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
The number one, mental duress.
Ah,
The hypnotist put me in a position that was embarrassing, that I did not know was going to happen, and that made me feel humiliated and distressed. For example, and I have seen this, a hypnotist who explains, hey, this is going to be a very PG show. We understand that your falling is second. Physical injuries are second to mental duress right now, but falling is huge. Falling is the next thing that gets more hypnotists sued than anything else. You're exactly right, Janaya. Sorry if I am mispronouncing that. But I've watched hypnotists actually say, this is going to be a PG show. This is a corporate event. We understand, your bosses are here. And then as soon as they get some people under, let's say they get 8 people under, they'll immediately go, all right, fuck all that. We're going to tear these people up. Well, immediately 3 will pop up. But then the ones who don't.
So somebody ends up humping a chair, and then HR gets involved, and
Yep.
now you got a bunch of people who are pissed.
And let's go back to humping a chair, Brian, because that's a perfect example. Because that was Anthony Cool's signature routine. And sorry, I think I may have violated language protocol on that. I apologize a moment ago. I'll be better about that.
no problem.
So one thing that I will bring up about Anthony's show that I always loved. So if you volunteered for Anthony's show, you'd get turned into a porn star and you would hump a chair, basically. And 6 times in his opening monologue, he said, when you come up here, you will hump a chair. In fact, his last words when he called people up were basically, who wants to hump a chair tonight? But now you have informed consent.
Yeah.
Now you're making it very clear. There's a very big difference between informed consent that you're participating in an adult show and uninformed consent.
And you kind of answered a question I was going to ask. At what point do you tell people, like, look, we are going to be silly, goofy, it's absolutely obnoxious, and kind of going back to like the cultural thing?
Yep.
Is it's like, hey, you've got like this blonde hair, blue-eyed, corn-fed kid from Iowa or whatever. All of a sudden he's speaking Mandarin Chinese. To me, that's just the polar opposites is what makes it so absurd. Yes. And that in itself is what makes it funny. But I can also see where someone's like, oh, you're just trying to make fun of our culture. And then there are those people that are just looking for some sort of reason
always
to be pissed off at anything because all the cool kids are doing it nowadays.
Yep. That's, but that right there, but as simple as saying Martian gives you the same effect. Yeah. It gives you the same, ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Because with
it's hard to,
I saw a video. So what I'll do in my show is I immediately have the line at the beginning of, yes, when you come up here, you will be doing fun, funny, and adult things. And I make that very clear that you will be doing adult things. You do have to be over 18 to be up here because we will be doing adult things. And then what's really funny is, so my show is recommended 18 and over. And occasionally somebody will still bring their 9-year-old. And so at the very end of the show, I'll bring the 9-year-old up and I'll have the 9-year-old stand on stage. I'll put my hand on their shoulder and then the 9-year-old gets pointed at each person and put them to sleep. Which is, fun for the whole audience to see something like that. And then I'll turn to the kid and I'll explain, I can't hypnotize you because of how young you are. Because we do all these weird things. But you want to know what the weirdest thing that I do on stage is? The weirdest thing is when I've done all these weird things to these people, and then a parent lets their child walk up on stage with me.
Well, it's also kind of, it kind of runs a parallel of like, I don't drink very much. So I bartend, and that's kind of a way for me to socially interact with one of the organizations I belong to. The child can't be up on stage to get hypnotized. The child can't participate, but now you're giving them a mechanism or a venue to say, I can be part of a show or part of the show. And then you're empowering that, 8 or 9-year-old, and you're lifting them up, which is pretty solid. Makes you look like a rock star.
And I am so if I had to define hypnosis in a word, cooperation.
Oh, definitely.
I make it about cooperation with everybody. I make it about building everyone up. Carol was asking, does this not help with the insurance issue? Here's what helps with the insurance issue. There's a legal term called the reasonable man. And a judge is going to
Vicarious liability.
decide. Yep. A judge is going to decide if the reasonable man would have considered that good or bad. Always imagine everything that you're going to say in front of a judge, and they have to determine.
Well, so Kevin, I actually do personal injury work with a couple of attorneys.
Yes.
So like car accident stuff, if I'm able to go, get, an insurance company is saying, all right, well, we've got, there's not much here or what may have you. I can go, well, we've got dash cam. Mm-hmm. We've got photographs of the vehicle damage. You explain to me the physics of everything here. And it's like, oh, so, and then you're able to get them to be like, all right, well, you have merit, but you kind of flip the script when you say, well, here's a video of my show. Here are all the different places where I, fully disclose these are the things that are going to happen. And tell me where there was no consent up here. And then It's like, okay, now an attorney's going to go, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Client, you really don't have a case.
And I'm going to go back to Jania's comment about falling, because I've heard this from a hypnotist who lets high school kids fall out of their chairs during a show. And his argument is these kids are young, they're fine, they know how to fall out of a chair.
Kids bounce.
Yep. Well, the first thing is tell a professional wrestler nobody can get hurt falling.
Right.
And that's somebody who does it for a living who still ends up in the hospital. But now, and Brian, you'll have the exact term for this then. High school kid falls out of their chair twice and they're fine. They fall out of their chair the third time and they break their arm. I believe the term is...
God forbid that's a student athlete that just lost a 4-year, collegiate scholarship.
But I believe the term is something like notice of action or, notice of, because that person fell twice, you, the performer, had 2 instances to realize you were putting this person in jeopardy.
Or now you've had 2 impacts, and concussions aren't just, blunt force. It's a matter of, hey, their head twisted this way and they've fallen, a couple of times. And now it's that third time that it's the straw that broke the camel's back. Yeah, that's and now you've got mom and dad who are pissed. Mom and dad are able to lawyer up, and now mom and dad are going to go stand in front of a judge and go and tell a jury, this person hurt my child.
And I will tell you one thing right now. I will tell this to everybody out there. Here's the number one way to do a safe show. If it was your mother, your daughter, your son, your father, your brother, your sister, your wife, your husband, your child, or God forbid, if it was you in that chair, would you be okay with what is happening right now?
Yeah. If
you can answer yes to that question, you're doing a great show.
Sibling rivalry, I don't know. That could be dangerous.
Okay, that is true.
Things twice as worse, but no, that definitely makes sense.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jeff.
It's interesting. So, number one, this shows like if you're...
Hold on one second, Janaea, not a waiver, but informed consent, yes.
Informed consent. So if you're wanting to learn stage hypnosis, this guy clearly knows what he's talking about. He's really able to break down and articulate stuff. So, Carol, I think it's a great decision you've made to train with him. You know what I find interesting is, Kevin, so Carol is interested in stage hypnosis. We've got several people in here that just show up when we do this to get hypnotized, and they're intrigued by what you're saying. They're all saying, somebody said, I feel like I should be taking notes, and she's not a hypnotist. It's really cool what you're talking about.
Anytime you're dealing with the public, you've got to take care of them. That has to be your number one priority. My most important thing is safety and compassion, or safety and ethics.
Your public is also your clients.
Yep. Yeah, humor is second to safety. Nothing is funny if a show is unsafe. If somebody gets hurt, nothing is funny. So, Shawn, all right, so you went through the routines. You wake them up. How was it waking them up and sending them back to their chairs?
The gentleman that hit the Esdale State, I pulled him back up because he was starting to lean a little bit. And then he woke up. And it's like, okay, are you with us? We're ready to start the show. Well, that was a big laugh
Mm-hmm.
because everybody else knew the show was coming to an end. And then, we were able to. I always try to leave people that I work with and people that are on stage with a little bit of a gift. So,
Good.
last thing that I did with them was kind of an NLP style anchoring routine. Where
Good.
they pick their favorite color.
I do the
And
same. I end
yeah,
with an angel routine like that because I want them
yeah,
to walk
just
off.
to build them up. And
Yep.
so, once they were off the stage, I think the only thing that really didn't quite go so well at the end was the sound guy didn't get the cue to start the music.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, sound guys.
I know.
Let
There were
me
actually a
explain.
couple of
Let me
spots
explain
where
I
it
can
would have
hear
been
the
better if I was
4-letter
running it.
words going on in your head, Kevin.
Let me explain 2 moments as I was touring with a sound guy. The first one is technical. I got to a very expensive resort. I'm going to plug in, the sound guy's going to plug in my mics. And I asked him, do you want 1/4" or XLR? And for those of you who have never had to plug in your own mics, a 1/4" is like a really big headphone jack. An XLR is the one with the 3 prongs that you have to plug into a microphone. And if you've never plugged in a microphone, you have no reason to know that. When the sound guy, the head sound technician at a very expensive resort says, what's XLR? I could feel every muscle in my body tighten. There was another show where after the show, the sound guy's comment to me was, oh, I didn't know you wanted all of those cues. And all I could think was, and the judge will find me guilty for killing him.
Yeah.
I don't trust sound guys.
But you're not killing. You're unsubscribing from life.
Yes. So one of the easiest ways to run your own sound if you're first starting, guitar players have wireless mics that they can plug into their guitars. You can get an adapter because it's a 1/4" jack. You can get an adapter that turns it into a headphone jack, and you can plug your iPod right into that. You can run the whole thing right out of your hand. If you're going to do that, the first track in your music, you name it track 01.1 and the name of the track, and then you make 4 copies of it. So it's 01.1 name, 01.2 name, 01.3 name, 01.4 name. Now you don't have to just try and get to one thing on here. You can get to a block of 4 and hit play.
That's good. That's good. That's
when you're
really
up on
good.
stage trying to get to one little line, it's so frustrating.
Wow. Oh, that is, boy, I'm using that. I use an iPad, but still, that's
And the
good.
reason you number it 01.1 is if you don't put the 0 first, when you get to 10, you're going to confuse the system.
Yeah, that's good.
Also, Shawn, so you opened for The Magician. Normally, I encourage the hypnotist to go last.
Yeah.
Because in a good hypnosis show, a hypnosis show is hard to follow because everybody wants to talk to the volunteers. There was one night, I'm working a really crappy comedy room in the middle of nowhere. Basically, it's the kind of comedy club where all of the people in that region are either going to see me or a UFO that night. I'm supposed to co-headline with this comedian.
Tell us you were in Roswell, New Mexico without telling us you were in Roswell, New Mexico.
Oh, no, I don't mean Roswell. I mean, I was in I don't get it's Tennessee. I was just in the middle of, as Groucho Marx once said, this is God's country and he can keep it. So I am co-headlining with a comic. I show up 2 hours early to set up everything because that's me. I tell the club owner that I'm going to go on last because of everything that I do, and the club owner's fine with that. The comic shows up 10 minutes before the show. Just something was up this guy. And he's explaining, I'm the comic. They're here for a comedy show. I go on last. I'm explaining to this comic, you don't want to follow me. You can't follow me, not because I'm saying I'm that great, but because this is going to involve all of the audience members. Oh, well, I do crowd work. It doesn't matter. I'm going on last.
Oh, you're explaining the dynamic of your show.
And I explained this comic again. Because of how the show ends, you're not going to want to follow me. But he throws this huge hissy fit. The club owner goes, well, just let him headline. At the time, I was still using copywritten music because I was touring and, it really didn't matter. And we can talk about BMI and everything else. But anyway, I don't use copyright music anymore. In this case, I was still using copyright music. And one of the last routines I would do is I would turn everybody into the Village People. Because I don't care how deep in hypnosis you are, you're born knowing how to do this. Yeah. Great ending. And then, I leave them with a positive suggestion. And that night I may have left in one other suggestion. And also, I told this comic, you don't want to follow me because I'm going to get a standing ovation. You can't guarantee you're going to get a standing ovation. I don't get the standing ovation. All my volunteers, when they stand up to take a bow, are going to get a standing ovation from their friends and family. That night, I did leave in one other thing, and that's that as soon as the last person leaves the stage tonight, the YMCA music will hit again, and you're going to lead all your friends over to the merchandise counter. Was that fair? No.
Was it justified?
That guy was now performing to 6 people who hated his guts. After the show, the club owner looked at him and went, tomorrow night you do 10-minute opening for him. Kevin, you do as long as you want. I don't recommend things like that, but sometimes.
Well, because everybody's going to want to be talking to their friends going, hey, what was it like?
Exactly.
And they're not paying attention to, it's a courtesy thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm the world's most interesting man. I'm saying everybody at that table and the adjacent table wants to talk to that person.
Put a Dos Equis in your hand.
And I might be.
And a beard.
Yeah. Right. That's right.
Now, Shawn, any other questions that you want to ask, having just recently done one of your first shows that maybe I did or didn't answer in there?
I think for me, and it's been a long, long time, like I did a bit of a show when I was in university many, many, many moons ago. I think for me, it was as much the realization of just how fast time moves and how efficient you need to be with what you're doing. That realization kind of set in when all of a sudden I got the nod from the side saying, hey, you got 10 minutes left. It's like, oh crap. And then, then you realize you didn't get everything done you wanted to do, but you're on the fly. So you deal with it on the fly, just like Johnny Carson would, as best you can.
On stage, a minute lasts an hour and an hour is over in a second.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's kind of hard to explain to people because they, everybody that I knew asked me, well, what was it like? I said, well, it was way faster than I thought it was going to be and way slower.
And that's why, as much as I'm giving you critiques and ideas, I'm also telling you that it's so awesome that you went out and did your first show.
Absolutely.
Because your first show is one of the hardest ones you'll ever do. You've gotten through that. Your second one is going to be way better.
Yep, it is. It's already scheduled for November.
Perfect.
So
yep. You've always got to book that first show. Now, Jim, you wanted to ask me, we talked about bullying the other day, and I know that we've gone on this huge tangent, but
we can stay on this.
For everyone listening, I hope that was a good idea and an understanding about starting and things to think about when you're putting a show together. But yeah,
I think a lot of this is transferable too, because just that theme there is you've got to do that first show. You've got to do that second show. You've got to keep showing up. And I think there's so many people out there that want to do something, but they can't get themselves to do it. And I wonder, Kevin, what was it like for you in your first show?
Okay.
Can you even remember?
Can you remember that far back?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I remember. Trust me. We all remember.
I have the bills in therapy because of it.
So first of all, time takes time. You are not going to be perfect your first show. You're not going to be polished your first show. The only way to get the experience of doing 100 shows is to do 100 shows. Time takes time. You can't cheat time. Second, for all the people who saw my show in the mid-90s when I first started doing shows, I swear to God, I'm so much better now. I've got free tickets for you. Just let me know where you saw me. I will totally set it up, and I apologize.
Yeah, I know the
When
feeling.
I learned hypnosis, so I got my certification around 95. The internet really wasn't a thing. The ability to learn hypnosis at that point was a very tightly guarded secret. The internet was in its infancy. The sharing of information wasn't really out there. I learned clinically because it was the only way that I could learn. And I learned in hindsight from somebody who either A, did not know what they were talking about, or B, didn't know how to teach. Because, Shawn, teaching's a skill. And getting information out is a very especially getting information out to a group is a very, very tight skill. And it's hard. So at the time, I learned really clinically. My first inductions took about 22 minutes because I was trying to hypnotize the entire crowd and then pick the ones who were the best. And then working with other really good performers who saw that I was really learning, gave me the hints, the ideas, the tips, the tricks, the ideas. That knocked it down immediately from 22 minutes to 6. And, but I mean, it comes with experience. And nowadays, the good news is there is so many more opportunities to learn and to learn from people who are doing. The one thing that I will say is there are a lot of great teachers out there. If I'm going to say anything that sounds potentially negative, it's this. Don't learn from somebody whose career you don't want to have. That's about the best way that I can say it. There are so many great people who are out there doing great work, doing great things, people that you want to model after, people who you would love to use them as that first building block. Go to them. They will be the ones you want to learn from.
For sure. I've been fortunate. I've known Jim now for just about 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
We met through a completely different group. And in that group, there are a lot of people who do stage hypnosis and have significant experience in it. And just soaking in knowledge from them has been beneficial. And then watching and then getting to meet Jim last year at Hypnothoughts, that was another step forward. So.
But I mean, this is even true on the clinical side. There are people who are doing great stuff clinically. Learn from them. Hey, and I know we've got a lot of people in here who aren't hypnotists. The one thing that I will tell you is whatever career you're in, or whatever your dream career is, there's always more room at the top. Always. And people who are successful want other people to be successful.
Yes.
If you ask somebody who's successful, how can I do this? And then you listen to the answer, they will tell you.
Kevin, I want to, I love the quote that you posted the other day. And it wasn't your quote, but you had shared it from somebody. And I love this quote. And I shared it somewhere. Oh, here it is. Yeah. This was shared. Word to the wise. Competition happens at the bottom. People at the top are collaborating. And I have seen this so much. It's so true. The more you level up, the more you're going to be around people that are really willing to collaborate. They're willing to give you help. They're willing to work with you, give you advice if you want it. I mean, really, it's so spot on, and that goes for every career, job, field, everywhere.
And I do have to say this though, there is one caveat to that.
Yeah.
Your ethics will dictate if good, quality, successful people want to help you. If you have poor ethical behavior around people, they're not going to want to help you. If you have good ethics, you're going to do great. And ethics is strictly just in this particular conversation. Ethics is just your ability to project your values. If they are good, if they are solid. Pardon?
Oh, I wanted to add on that as soon as
Yeah.
you were done.
Go for it.
Okay. So, and this is kind of more for you, Kevin. So I'm a military veteran, and I was in a special operations unit. So as soon as I crossed over to the dark side of the Army where the cool kids play, I met a former team guy, and he says, Brian, like, never underestimate the power of building rapport. And if you think about it, you've got, the special forces mission, the Green Beret guys, they're tactical teachers. So they'll go into some third world country, link up with an underground guerrilla force. And it's like, you've got to go solve the problems that, another country's group came in and like upset everybody. And you've got to mend fences and gain their trust in order for them to help you save them.
And I actually just read something about special forces that I thought was so fascinating.
Full disclosure, I was a support guy. I was intel.
No. It's fine. What I was reading about is it was actually somebody who was in charge of, selecting who was going to be making it through to the next levels. There were times
you read Inside Delta Force by
I'm not sure who it was, but what they were saying is there were times that they would cut somebody who was physically superior over somebody who didn't have the skills, but had better ethics, better rapport, and better ability to work in the team. Because in a high pressure situation, I need a team that can come together.
More important, I need to be able to trust that you're going to be there, or that I can rely on you.
Yeah. And it may have been from that, but that was something that I thought was so brilliant.
Yeah, you're in the zip code. Yeah, you're definitely in the neighborhood there. But
your ethics trump everything. But we still have a couple of minutes. Did you want to talk about the bullying, Jim?
Hold on one second. So listeners, watchers, if you're watching now, if you're watching live, if you have questions for Kevin, please drop them down below. If you watch it later, I do try to monitor the comments later after the live. If you post a comment later, you watch it 2 weeks from now, a year from now, I'll still pass those questions along to Kevin. Kevin, I found this very illuminating, such really just solid advice, solid recommendations. Really, thanks for taking the time out. And I think, you know what, we had a direction we were going. I'm great with the direction we went. Really, it was spur of the moment, and it was just great to hear you helping Shawn along with that. And so much of it made sense. I really love what you said about the inductions too. We're in this world now where rapid inductions and instant inductions and people are, oh my God, if you do any kind of a pre-talk at all, and it's, you've got to get them hypnotized within 2 minutes getting on the stage or something. And it's maddening to see this, because really I've actually looked out sometimes and the audience they're rapt. Their attention is just rapt when you're doing that induction, because it's so interesting. I even had a club owner tell me one time they had a guy there before that it was so fast, some of the audience members didn't think it was real.
Yep, and it's real common.
Yeah.
We, as Bob Ross would say, we had a happy little accident tonight, and it's great. No objections.
I want to jump on something for a second.
Yeah.
No, send it, man. Go.
And Jim, I'm not doing this as an attack.
Do it.
All right. Let's talk about street hypnosis for a second.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Step 1. Street hypnosis does not exist.
Tell me more.
Do you do it?
Yes.
Yeah. How much money have you made doing it?
How dare you?
How much money have you made doing it?
I don't make money fishing.
Then you're not a street performer. No, I don't care what your art is. I don't care if you're a magician, a juggler, an artist. I don't care what you are. The whole art of being a street performer is passing that hat at the end. If you are not making money, Calling yourself a street performer in any way, shape, or form is not only wrong, but what you're doing is you're teaching an entire crowd of people, when you watch that street magician, don't tip them.
It's an interesting perspective. Sure.
And so just that's just one of my rants on calling it street performing. And here's the thing, you can make a ton of money street performing doing it. You know why? You never have to pass the hat. If you pass the hat, you won't make a lot. You know who can pass the hat for you and you'll make tons of money? Whoever you just hypnotized. Oh, you make that person pass the hat, you will walk out with green.
It's a good idea.
Second of all,
So on that,
yep.
I know it in kind of the greater Seattle area where Jim and I have gone out, they've got local laws about busking and having to get a permit, and
do it right.
There's a little bit more that goes into it.
Right, but do it right. If everybody else has to do it right, there's no reason you shouldn't. Second thing with street hypnosis is I wish more street hypnotists, if we're going to use that term, would put out a 30-minute YouTube video. And the reason for this is everybody puts up a 1 or 2 minute clip. And it's the 1 or 2 minute clip of watching this thing instantly happen. But it's skipping the 30 minutes of going, hey, would you like to be hypnotized? Go screw yourself. Thank you so much. And the reason I wish somebody would put that video out is I know a lot of students who they've watched that, and then they go out and they don't get anybody who wants to try it. Or the people that do are drunk and are putting up this big challenge. And these people who are starting feel like failures.
Absolutely.
And they feel like failures because all they've seen online is success after success after success after success. Well, I wish there were some more videos of showing, hey, it's not always just this simple.
I agree 100%. And I will tell you, if you go to my channel, I actually do that. I go from start to end. I put up the failures because I want people to know, because I get that too, Kevin. People I get messages. I'll even meet people, and I meet people that should not question their ability to hypnotize. You know, they should know this already, but they'll say like, well, for instance, I watched this person's video, some real high profile person, and they just knock people out every time. I tried it a couple of times, nothing happened. I'm like, yeah, that's what usually happens. It's the exception where you get somebody where you can make them forget their name and their hand, they're stuck to their head and that kind of stuff. I even did one, and I really love this one. I had 2 guys going at once. One of them was a complete dud, and the other one was fantastic. So I agree 100%, Kevin. Absolutely.
I once cured somebody of their allergies. I was doing a show. I took a prop. I told the person that this prop was the world's cutest kitten, and they start sneezing their head off. I went to sleep. You're no longer allergic to cats. And, so now they're playing with this prop. They email me 2 weeks later. They're no longer allergic to cats. The reality of the situation, they had outgrown their allergy a long time ago. Psychosomatically, they thought they were still allergic. I'm not going to go around telling people I can cure you of allergies.
Yeah.
Miracles are awesome. When you have a miracle, whether it's clinical, whether it's stage, whether it's out, wherever you have that miracle, enjoy that miracle.
So I've got a take on that, Kevin.
Yeah.
A lot of people cling to something that is, I'm going to use a disability, completely correctly. Yep. It's a very broad term. I've got anxiety, I've got the allergy, whatever. They're so just used to saying, I can't be around cats because I've got this thing. And like you said, they outgrew the allergy, but mentally they didn't outgrow the excuse. And then you just went, okay, I'm going to kind of deprogram that excuse. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I forgot I had this excuse. And it's almost like, hey, you help that person get out of their own damn way.
Yep.
And you do the same kind of similar thing for, weight loss, smoking, depression, all that stuff, even like PTSD. I tell people as much as I can, especially on this platform, giving Jim a ton of credit, stuff from the military and personal experiences, stuff that was just so packed away. Jim and a couple other people just helped me navigate that. But then you also get people who are like super addicted to therapy and they use it as a
Mhm.
crutch.
Oh,
Where
yes.
the hypnotherapy, it's like, all right, let's go solve the problem so you can go live life.
There are people who enter into 12-step programs for them and become addicted to 12-step programs.
Sure.
Yeah, because they're like,
Yep.
this is my safety net. Without it, I'm going to
Mhm.
relapse. And don't get me wrong, it's a good tool
Yeah.
to solve the problem.
Oh, they're great. They're amazing. But there are literally people who will then decide they need to belong to 3 or 4 different programs
Yeah.
because of what they feel they get out of it. And yeah, you can
And
actually,
then they go broke in therapy.
yep. And yes, to mention to what Janaea, and I'm so sorry if I am messing up your name so badly.
Janaea. It's
But
Janaea.
yeah, if you see that and you're like, oh, well, I wasn't hypnotized like that person was.
Right.
Well,
Exactly.
no, nobody's hypnotized like somebody else was.
You don't
And-
need to bark like a chicken to stop
Yep.
smoking.
Exactly.
Exactly. Right.
And Becca, yes, very true. The more
Yeah.
you show the reality, and the more you can demonstrate a real point of view to it, the more people go, oh, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. Yep. You know, and I get so frustrated too, Kevin, with the trainers that are out there. I'm getting ready to go to HypnoThoughts, and I won't name names, but there are some of them that go to HypnoThoughts that in their marketing they say, I will teach you to hypnotize anybody, anytime, anywhere. And I'm like, bullshit.
Oh,
Hypnotize me right now.
I've got a standing 1,000 to 1 challenge on that.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Mhm. Because
Well,
the first,
yeah,
the first person you have to hypnotize is me.
yeah, exactly.
Second one will be my wife. The third one will be a waitress carrying a full tray of drinks.
Yeah. and it's
My
so-
other favorite is when somebody says I can do it in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, the 15 seconds starts as soon as you say hello.
Right.
I hate claims like that.
It's
Because-
it really it damages it for the students and also for the public, like you said. I mean, it makes people go, well, that must be bullshit because you can't do that to me.
Right.
So yeah, it's
People
so frustrating.
ask me
then it-
all the time, oh, well, why couldn't I be hypnotized tonight?
Yeah.
And I reiterate what I say on stage, which is, first of all, I'm moving quickly. I'm looking for the best 4 or 5, and then we go from there. If I took 5 minutes with everybody, you would go under without a problem, because one-on-one, I can tailor make an induction for you. Tonight, we had to move quickly. You were on stage. It's not always comfortable for everyone, but it's not your fault.
I always tell my students too, it's great to walk in with that attitude. I can hypnotize anybody anytime, anywhere. Just know that it's not true. But you can act like it. You can walk like it. You can move like it. You can sound like it. But then when it doesn't happen, don't be discouraged. Don't give up. Just know what to do afterwards. That's
I will never say I can hypnotize anyone anywhere. What I will say is, with literally 21 years of performing experience at this point, I'm not saying I can hypnotize anyone anywhere. I will say I can make a show out of anything, anywhere. And I've had to do shows for 9 people at a
Yeah.
corporate event and make a
Wow.
show out of that. Not 9 volunteers, 9 people in the audience.
Hey, Shawn, will you can you look up Zach Pinson's page, his YouTube channel? I know he posted. I think Paul said that he posted a bunch of fail videos too. So I think that's really
Good.
valuable
They
for people
are.
to see that.
It's so important to understand. So first of all, in the context of hypnotherapy, you never have to fail, because you can take as long as you need with the induction. You can take as long as you need before the induction to find out where the person's going to be the most comfortable to get them there.
Yeah.
On stage, people are going to want to volunteer. They came to the show for a reason. The more you give them a positive reason to do it, and the more you make people feel positive on stage, the better reactions you're going to get out of them.
And that's like, it's kind of like I don't say like the oppositional defiance disorder. That very well could be a made up term, but going back to where it's like, I can do anything. All of a sudden that puts the people in their mind, like, the challenge has been thrown, the gauntlet's thrown down, the challenge has been issued. Now it's my job to resist. And it's completely counterproductive.
Right. Yeah.
In every way, shape, and form.
You
Like I said, for me-
you need 20 allies on stage that are going
Yep.
to be like, all right, we're all going to look like rock stars here.
Yes. To me, it's always been about cooperation and rapport.
Yeah.
If I can make us a team, and if I can make you feel comfortable and make sure you understand you're not going to be embarrassed, you're going to be a superstar. Everybody, also, for what I do on stage, I will tell you this. If you can create 1 or 2 moments on stage where everybody in the audience goes, I should have gone up there, you win.
Yeah, that's good.
You, as much as it needs to be funny, one of my favorite routines that I will do is I will have a spouse on stage. And, so we'll say I've got the husband on stage, she's hypnotized. The wife is in the audience. They've been married 20 years. I have the wife come up on stage. I let her sit on the stage. And whenever she says a color, he will come up and give her the biggest kiss of all time. And especially if they've been married 30, 40 years, there is something fun and funny watching that interaction. But it's also the moment where you go,
you do the quick hypnosis and go,
me.
and you're going to pretend like you like it too.
Well, but that's the other thing is, for that moment, it's this great celebration of love.
Yeah.
It's this great celebration of seeing that love in their eyes and going, oh, I wish my spouse was looking at me like that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's better than flowers, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you get the guy afterwards coming over and going, oh, thank you for that.
I many times. Actually, it's funny. I get a thank you before I even start my induction at least once a week.
Wow.
Because, women, Vegas, they're in their Vegas outfits, especially now in the summer. And if they're up there wearing skirts, Emily and I put wraps around them so that they're not flashing the audience. I make it clear you're going to move around a little bit. Your safety, your comfort level is our number one concern. And it's funny because as soon as I do that, you see almost every woman on my stage going, whew. And you see them actually go, oh, okay, he's going to take care of me. Emily's up here. She's going to take care of me. And I'll actually have people in the audience start clapping for that. I'm like, yeah, they deserve to be protected. Ladies, I've never allowed anyone to flash on my audience. And gentlemen, for the benefit of the audience, none of you will be flashing tonight. So I can turn around and make it fun as well. But, I make it clear nobody's gonna be in a negative position.
That's great. And of course, I mean, this conversation could continue forever. I want to get in with the hypnosis. I know we got some people here that are looking forward to getting hypnotized. Kevin, can you kind of give us a rundown of what you're going to do tonight?
You know what? I'm going to talk about pendulums.
Awesome.
Because they're fun, they're interesting, and you can use them for a purpose.
Okay.
And they're a great thing that anyone can do. If you go to my website, if you go to hypnosisunleashed.com or vegashypnosisshow.com, Emily now makes amazing pendulums. This is her personal one. And it comes with a brain game as well. The brain game has a little cross section on it. But if everybody wants to take a minute, all you need for a simple pendulum right now is a necklace, a keychain on a string, whatever. But I love these. And you know what? I'm going to try and do... Am I still visible enough?
Yeah, let me just say something real quick. For those of you that listen later, those of you that are watching now, remember this is the hypnosis part, so please pull over if you're driving a car. Don't bake a cake. Don't do anything. Just go sit down, relax, enjoy the experience. Go ahead, Kevin.
So with the pendulums, and so there is a replay of this, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So you can watch this all on replay and you can do it. You can go to the website.
You want to put him on the big screen? Like we'll.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Side. Good point. Yeah. Oh, wait. Shoot. I don't know how to make it I don't know how I can make it just him, though.
Here, go ahead and hide me so you can.
Yeah, hide me and.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay, good point. That's how we do it. Okay, yeah. Good point. Okay.
All right, there we go. So if you're watching this on the replay, I'm going to assume you already have your pendulum. And hopefully some of you had time to grab a pendulum. Like I said, if you go to hypnosisunleashed.com, Emily makes gorgeous ones. They're absolutely wonderful. So the thing about a pendulum is you have the ability to use this to do a couple of things. First, it's a great way to focus your mind. It's a great way to kind of calm your mind down for a minute. You can focus on it, and you can use it to tap into your mind to really get the answers that you want to seek. It's a great way of shutting out noise and really asking yourself, what do I really want? But before we get to that, we'll start with the simple level. And the simple level is, as you have a pendulum, you simply hold it in your thumb and finger. Make sure you have anywhere from 8 inches to 16 inches on it. It's usually a really good thing. So usually a really good distance, because if you're doing it right here, there's just not much play to really get the experience you want to get out of it. So as you're holding your pendulum, all you're going to do is you're going to stare at the pendulum, and you're going to think the two words left and right. Just going to imagine your pendulum swinging from left to right. You're not going to move your hand, but the more you think the words left and right, the further and faster you'll find it swinging. If you start saying the word stop, it'll come to a stop. And once again, you can do this with a necklace. You can grab a keychain, put it on a string, anything like that. And I'm just doing that as the first example so that we can get into what we're going to do next. I want to explain, why is this working? Why does it look like I'm moving something with my mind? Your mind works like water and electricity. It always wants the path of least resistance. As your mind is focusing on this, as your mind and your conscious and your subconscious are focusing on this, and you're thinking the words left and right, what your subconscious is hearing is, if this thing moves from left to right, this person will stop taking up my brain space. I can get back to doing what I want to do. So you don't feel your fingers moving. You don't feel your mind sending the signal to your fingers, but you can feel it happening. Becca, this one's a little bit bigger than the one she normally sells, but she does have this shape. She does have those available. Now, understanding why that works, understanding how that works makes this real easy, because then you can do 3 things with the pendulum. First thing you can do is you can think the words left and right. As you think the words left and right, the pendulum will move from left to right, further and faster. You can change directions, and you can think back and forth. In this case, from your nose to the screen, back and forth, further and faster. And then you can think of a circle around and around and around. Those are the 3 main ways. If anybody can ever do the 4th way, which is making it go up and down on its own like that, I'd be very interested in learning that. But here's the whole point to this. So, Emily sells it with a brain game. Now, the brain game, there's a cross with a circle, and you can find them online. They're all over. But on the left and right axis, it has the word yes. On the back and forth axis, it has the word no. On the circle, it has the words don't know. And as you look at this pendulum, you can ask yourself simple questions. Like, do I like chocolate? Do I like chocolate? And you start finding that your mind will immediately give you an answer. It'll immediately tap into your brain and give you the answer that's actually right on your subconscious's forefront. You know, do I want to get into this career? Do I want to make this decision? Do I want to take this action? It's a really great way to stop, take a breath, and bring your subconscious mind up to the forefront to help you make conscious decisions. Something I highly, highly recommend, and something I love a lot. Practice it. You'll find it a great thing. You can carry it in your pocket. You can always take 2 or 3 minutes somewhere alone and just listen to what your own mind wants to tell you. Jim, you want to come back? I'm alone.
Hey, that was great. Yeah, come back and watch the replay, everybody. Go order it right now. Go order your pendulum, and then come back when it comes in and give that a try. Interesting stuff. Very cool. Becca wants one. Awesome.
Yeah, this one specifically, like I said, this is Emily's personal one. She makes one. So the ones that she's, you know what? Hold on. Sorry, Emily is my wife, who I love dearly, and if I don't do this right, I'm getting in trouble. And gentlemen, I think you understand why that's important.
Happy spouse, happy house.
So true. Very true. Wow, what an interesting conversation tonight. Got some good stuff for you, Shawn, to take home with you.
Oh, for sure. Thoroughly appreciate it. That's for sure.
So sorry. So,
Wow.
yeah, the crystal version she makes, she has 2 or 3 different designs. It's got the teardrop and the oval. Oh, they're fantastic.
That's awesome. So, would you be willing to lead these guys through a little hypnosis? I know Becca and Janae really enjoy that.
Yeah, I would
whatever
be
you
glad
want to
to.
do. Awesome.
Well, so one of the things that I do at the end of my show is I do what I call my angel routine. And it's an abbreviated version of what I do in my relaxation self-confidence CDs. I always end my show by giving people positive suggestions. I believe that's extremely important. So there's so many different versions of inductions. So in the chat, please, I know that we have a bunch of people. Type the number 1 if this is your first time listening or watching this podcast. I'm going to count down from 5 just to see if we get any answers on that. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, good. So I'm assuming there's no first timers. That makes life easy.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So then in that case, we're going to do that then. We'll do, like I said, my version of what I call my angel routine. So as long as you're in a position where you're safe to do it, feel free to do it. And as always with hypnosis, I always tell people to start by just closing your eyes. And just take those deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. If you've been here before, then you've done this before. And you know where your mind wants to go. So, let your mind go there. Let your mind find that place where you find yourself at ease and comfortable. And with every breath you take, in through the nose, out through the mouth, just let your mind go into that place of comfort, place of joy. I always like just relaxing the body. What I like is one-on-one. We have the ability to start at the top. And our minds are like cars racing throughout the day. Just allow your mind to slow down like a car going from 50 to 40, 40 to 30, 20 to 10. It's never going to stop. Your mind's always aware. But just let it slow down and relax. This moment's for you. Simple way to relax your neck and shoulders. Just make all the muscles in your neck and shoulders as tight as you can. Let all the day's stress and tension get tighter and tighter. Take that deep breath in through the nose. Count of 3, let it out. Let out all that tension. 1, 2, 3. Let it all go. Let your head just roll into the most comfortable position. Let your arms relax. Your shoulders, your elbows. Let that relaxation roll through your legs, your feet, your toes. I'll never ask you to clear your mind. I will ask you to think of something larger than all of today put together. Just imagine that you're looking up into a night sky. A black, endless void stretching out for all eternity. As your mind stares into that night sky, you can imagine thousands upon thousands of stars. And as your mind gazes into those stars, they all begin to gather and merge. They become one giant star, simply filling your imagination. And as you stare into the very center of that star, you can see a very simple black dot. As you look into that dot, it grows and expands. It becomes its own night sky, filled with thousands of its own stars. As Just watching your imagination as stars become skies, letting skies become stars, watching universes roll into universes. Yesterday's a memory, tomorrow's a million miles away. This moment is just for you. Take that deep breath into the nose, up to the mouth. Just imagine you're walking barefoot through the world's softest grass. With every step you take, feeling better and better. And as you walk through this meadow, you can see yourself coming towards a cliff. As you walk towards that cliff, you can feel wings growing out of your back. You can feel your wings growing, stretching, expanding, lifting you up into the air. You're an angel. You're beautiful. You're perfect. You're everything you have ever wanted to be. Feel the wind, the air, and the clouds rolling across your body. Up here, you can leave behind all negativity. You don't need it anymore. Up here, feel only with love, joy, confidence. In fact, right now, I want you to go back into your mind. I want you to remember a time when you were filled with confidence. Now, this could be a day, a minute, an hour, just 1 second in time, and you knew you could accomplish anything. Let that feeling fill your body from the top of your head all the way down to the bottom of your feet. Scale of 1 to 10, you're at a 5. We're going to make you feel twice as good. Everybody take that deep breath into the nose and hold it. Count of 3, letting it out, going from a 5 to a 10. 1, 2, 3, letting it out. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feeling twice as good. Do it again. Deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, letting it out. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Feeling 20 times better than you've ever felt. Cherish this feeling. There is something you want in your life. Maybe you want to get rid of a bad habit. Maybe you want to concentrate on a good habit. Maybe you just want to relax more. Whatever you want, I want you to think of your suggestion right now. As you think of your suggestion, close one hand into a fist. Close one hand tightly. Take that deep breath into the nose and hold it. Count of 3, letting out that breath, letting out that fist, having this perfect feeling, your suggestion planted in your mind. 1, 2, 3, let them both out. Do it again. Take that breath, close that hand, and 1, 2, 3, let them both out. That's my gift to you. That's going to remain a permanent part of your mind. Practice that every night when you're going to bed. And then anytime during the day, whenever you need this feeling of confidence, whenever you need your suggestion, you'll close that fist, you'll take that breath, you'll count to 3, you'll let them both out. You have this feeling of confidence all across your entire body. You have your suggestion right at the forefront of your mind. I'm going to count to 5. When I get to 5, you'll find yourself wide awake, filled with energy, feeling better about yourself than you've felt in months, feeling fantastic. Starting at the number 1, I want you to just hold your hands out in front of you. Move your hands, move your fingers, move your wrists. As you move your hands, your fingers, your wrists, you feel energy moving across your body. 2, moving your fingers, rolling your shoulders, feeling alert, feeling present, feeling happy, feeling joyful. 3, moving your shoulders, moving your fingers, moving your toes, feeling 10 times more energy, 20 times more energy, feeling better and better. 4, feeling alert, feeling ready to have a great night. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Eyes open, wide awake. I would like to give you one other idea, one other thought. When I work with people one-on-one, when I have people close their hand, when you work with a suggestion like that, something really great to do is to think of 5 reasons why you want to accomplish something and assign a reason to each one of the fingers. And as you bring that hand together, you're bringing in all 5 of those reasons reinforcing why you want to accomplish your goal.
That was good. Hey, please drop a comment in the comment area. Let us know what that experience was like for you. Positive, negative, neutral. Let us know. We always want to know what that was like for you.
And also, any other questions, please feel free. Ask anything you want, whether it's about hypnosis, performing, the business of being a performer. I know Jim kind of has a little bit of a hard out. I'm not sure how much more time Shawn and Brian has, but if there's anything
I'm here as much as you want.
Yep. If there's any questions, type them in. I will answer everything I can. And Carol, we're definitely looking forward to you coming out to Vegas for the class in October. It's going to be a great experience.
Is Hypnotize live this coming week, Jim?
Yeah.
Yes, and I am missing it.
In Vegas.
Yep, and I'll be missing it because Emily's sister is getting married in New York, so we are taking a week off, and I'm actually so excited to be taking a week off. I love what I do, but so here's advice I give everybody. Hunter S. Thompson once said, 5 days in Vegas can feel like 5 years. And anytime Vegas starts seeming like real life, you need to get out for a while. So it's when you live in the carnival, it's a good idea to get out of the Midway once in a while.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate. This town has been so kind to me.
Well, isn't it going to be like 130 degrees next week or something like that? You all are going to roast.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. Yeah, it's going to be 115 degrees.
It's a dry heat.
No. All I'll say is this. I grew up in Detroit. I have never had to shovel sunshine out of my driveway.
I will remember that for the winter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in all honesty, I lived in New Orleans for 5 years where the humidity was I don't like that whole, it's a dry heat, but oh my God, yeah. So I don't understand how in New Orleans it would be, the humidity could be over 100%. Because there were days like the index would say 105% humidity. Doesn't that mean I'm underwater?
Yeah.
Right. Isn't New Orleans mostly underwater?
I love New Orleans. As I've said often, I can give you 1,000 adjectives for New Orleans. Clean will never be one of them. And Bourbon Street is still the only street in America where horses step in human shit.
Yeah.
So we had some great comments. I got to say, so Cindy Berg-Wolf is a magician and hypnotist, comedy hypnotist. So I'm glad you got to watch this.
Cindy, do you have any questions about performing, about contracts, about venues, about anything? Is there anything that I didn't cover that you're like, oh, you know what? I don't understand in the industry, fill in the blank. And anybody, if you have any questions along those lines, put them in, because a lot of people took a lot of time with me to answer questions. I had some of the questions I didn't even know how to ask.
Right. Things you don't even know that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. There's, I've met so many wonderful hypnotists that are willing to share. And I know early on, I didn't meet as many for some reason.
It's because whenever you're starting, everybody stabs himself. Okay. I will tell you one of the worst stories of all time. And this involves magicians. I was at the magic store in Detroit. Magician X is over at the bookcase. 16-year-old kid comes bouncing into the magic store, and he is so excited. He just signed a restaurant. Every Friday and Saturday night, 3 hours, $45 plus dinner.
Cool.
And this kid knows as a fact he's going to go from that restaurant to the Magic Castle, to a special on NBC, to his own headlining show in Vegas. Magician X leaves the bookstore, leaves the bookcase, calls the restaurant, and offers to do it for $5 a night cheaper.
Oh, damn it.
Thankfully, he didn't get the gig.
Yeah.
But the point is, when you're starting, everybody's desperate for that dollar.
Yeah.
Successful people know you can't take my gigs.
Yeah.
I could give you all of my contacts. You're not going to take my gigs, because I've gotten to a point where nobody hires me because they want a hypnotist. Yeah. They hire me because they want Kevin.
Right.
Best thing you can do is be one in a field of one. That is always one of the best things that you can be. Cindy, with like contracts, one of the things that I do with my contracts, I make them real simple. The simpler, the better. Simple performance agreement, simple non-refundable deposit, simple when the balance is due. And I always include the line in my contract: do you want a full family G-rated show, PG, PG-13, or uncensored Vegas show? Just about every corporate show says they want, gentlemen, what would you guess?
Family friendly.
A
So
lot
we
of
don't
them
get
say
sued.
a lot of them say they want PG-13. And I immediately tell the client, that means I can use all the sexual innuendo I want and drop one F-bomb in the show. And they go, oh, well, maybe we should do PG. Probably.
Yeah. Live is different than what you
Yep.
see in a movie,
But I
So,
love
yeah.
using that
Yeah.
movie
Yeah.
as a guideline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always include that. I let them pick what they want it to be.
Yeah.
And then I always include a rider sheet. My rider sheet says, and there's very few points on it, I'm going to bring 2 microphones. You have to have a house system that I can plug the microphones into. I need 20 chairs on a stage large enough to hold 20 chairs comfortably. Front row has to be no more than 6 feet away from the stage. Nothing else can be happening in the room while I am performing. In parentheses, it will say food service has to have ended. No other activities or carnival rides allowed. You're laughing. I had to do a show with a goddamn tilt-a-whirl next to my stage at a corporate event.
Oh,
Clients don't get it. They don't get it. They don't think these things through. I'm glad you put that in there. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Mark, at what point did you hire someone to do bookings for you? Never. Now, let's talk about getting an agent. Let's talk about the difference between an agent and a manager. You will have, in our field, until you have a level of celebrity that honestly no hypnotist has, you will have many agents. George Clooney has one agent. But that's because it's one person selling George Clooney for $40 million. You will have a bunch of agents. You don't usually want too many agents in the same field, but you'll have a college agent, you'll have a comedy club agent, you'll have a few different corporate agents. You will never get a manager until you don't need a manager. Because remember, a manager has to be able to live off of 20% of what you make. So if you're not making enough, that 20% will allow a manager to live. You'll never have one. I've never had a manager. I've always fantasized about it up until I didn't need it anymore. Agents. Jim, you do shows?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm going to talk to you about how to get an agent. Have you done a corporate event in your hometown?
Oh, yeah.
Have you done an event for that same corporation more than once?
No.
Okay. But you have done, and you've gotten great responses from corporate shows you've done in your hometown.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you the only entertainment that company's ever booked?
No, I don't think so.
Perfect. So after you've done a great show, it's real simple to ask the person who booked you, hey, who do you use to hire other entertainment? Oh, we use XYZ agent. Oh,
What a great question.
do you mind if I call XYZ agent and said you told me to call? Sure. You call XYZ agent and you say, hey, XYZ agent, ABC company, who you want to keep doing business with, told me to call you. Now the agent's going to take your call because, well, hell, if ABC said for this person to call, I want to keep ABC happy.
Yeah.
And now you're using sphere of influence. When somebody you know told me to call you, I'm going to answer that call. I'm going to take that call. And they're going to go, well, Jesus, why didn't ABC use me to book you? You may lose 20% or 30% on one gig, but they'll get you 5 other gigs throughout the year. When you make that call, make sure you have an agent-friendly website available.
Yeah.
And an agent-friendly website.
That's one of those things where it's like, hey, will you pay $150 to make $500?
Yeah, exactly. And an agent-friendly website can be an exact mirror of your website with no contact information on it. That way, agents can just send them to that site, and then they book through the agent. Becca, do you have any of the good traditional pocket watches? There's a trade show in town called ASD, which is a closeout show. At one point, I had quite a few dozen pocket watches that I gave to friends. Janiyah, when did you know being a hypnotist was right for you? Great question. When I first started learning to do hypnosis shows, I hated them. Wow. Every hypnosis show boiled down to, I'm a jackass and I want to make you look like an idiot. When I moved from Detroit to New Orleans, I had a 6-month contract to do my hypnosis show in New Orleans. 6 months turned into 5 years and included touring colleges. When I was in New Orleans, I got to work with some great writers and performers. And I told them that my goal with a hypnosis show was, I wanted to write something that said, I have something fun and interesting to share with you. And if you walk up on stage, I'm going to make you look like a superstar. As soon as that became the MO for the show, it took off and I started having the time of my life with it.
That's good. That's good.
And it's also why, Cindy, it's also why I quit doing magic. So the amazing Jonathan, before he passed away, was one of my dearest friends. And I'm going to use Jonathan as a great example.
I was watching him since like grade school.
He was so good.
He was hilarious.
So good. And also a Detroit boy, which is how we bonded. He stood up in my wedding. I stood up in his. Sorry, I just went to lunch today with Emily and Mike Hammer, and we went to a place we used to go to with Jonathan all the time. And I kept expecting him to walk in the room. There was a time that I was middling in some comedy clubs doing comedy magic. I was headlining in other comedy clubs doing the hypnosis show. I could not write a 26th minute of comedy magic that was sincere and from the heart. On the other hand, at an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes, I'm still having fun doing hypnosis. Jonathan could do an hour and a half of comedy magic without even thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and his props were were just
yeah. And it's always that thing of, how did you know being a hypnotist was right for you? How do you know anything is right for you? It's when you find yourself in the middle of it and you're having fun.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying every minute of this activity, so is everyone around you. Where do you live now, Cindy? See that you were born in Detroit, and I'm guessing you're going to say somewhere far away from there.
I want to say she was in, weren't you out there in New York or Jersey, Cindy?
Cincinnati.
Yep. Because I will tell you this, I'm glad I grew up in Detroit. Detroit is the greatest town in the world to be from. Actually, one of the things that I'll always be thankful for with Detroit is what it taught me. So I grew up in the punk rock clubs in Detroit. That's where I learned. That's where I cut my teeth, at the places where they threw beer bottles at you if they liked you. But what those crowds taught me was, get to the point. Don't waste my time. If you waste time, they'll turn on you. If you make sure that every minute has an importance and a grounding and a result, oh my God, it's the greatest crowd in the world.
Well, hey guys, I got to wrap it up. So thanks so much, Kevin. You shared so much great information tonight.
My pleasure.
I mean, really,
we're going to have him on again for like part 2.
Anytime. I'm
Absolutely.
always glad to share. Always.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we got a lot
if I get down to Vegas, I'll definitely get in touch with you. I would love to just hear more amazing Jonathan stories and just share memories. I'm sure you got 1,000 more than I do, but
I will tell you my favorite memory really quickly of Jonathan, only because this is great for every performer to understand. At one point, Jonathan and I were performing in the same theater in Vegas. The building had 2 theaters. He was in the big room. We were in the smaller room. After the show, Jonathan and I are walking through one of the casino malls. And the theater owner had pissed Jonathan off, and he is walking through this casino mall, just screw this guy, screw that guy, screw him for this, screw him for that, I mean, just rah, 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 rah. And all of a sudden this guy walks by and goes, oh my God, you're the amazing Jonathan. Jonathan turns and goes, oh yeah, you're coming to see the show? Oh yeah, we're actually going to come tomorrow night. Do you want a picture? And they take a picture. The guy's got this big smile on his face. Jonathan's got this big smile. And he waves goodbye to the guy. And Jonathan turns to me and goes, and another thing that son of a bitch did. But not in that moment. In that moment where a fan came up to him. Jonathan knew all that fan wanted. It was 45 seconds. Jonathan was thrilled to give it to him.
Nice.
I never forgot that.
Nice.
I've got 1,000 stories of a guy who had heart defects all of his life and had the biggest heart I've ever known. Pardon?
They teach that in the military. It's like you go from just chewing a private and everything, and then it's like the wife calls and you're like, hey, sweetie, what's going on? And then, okay, hugs and kisses, love you, bye, click. All right, now, just pick right up where you left off. They call it compartmentalization.
And you have to, especially when you're working with the public.
Yeah. But Jim,
thanks so
much, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here.
And Shawn, seriously, and everybody on here, add me on Facebook, message me. If you have questions, if I can offer advice, if I can offer guidance on something, reach out. I'm always glad to answer whatever I can.
Certainly appreciate it.
My pleasure. And Shawn, sincerely, congratulations on doing that show. Keep doing them.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, guys. Kevin, thank you so much for being on. I mean, so much great information. People loved your episode. We're still getting great comments. Go check out his website, everybody, VegasHypnosisShow.com. Is that where they find the pendants also?
Yes. Yeah, that's in the store.
Yeah. Good. Go check it out. Go see a show in Vegas. And for those of you that are stage hypnotists, be sure and check out the performinghypnosissummit.com. We will be we'll be offering tickets and looking for presenters somewhere in August, I think is what we're going to be doing.
And for those of you who are not stage performers, go to that anyway. You need to learn how to get on a stage in front of your Chamber of Commerce, in front of your Lions Club, in front of your Kiwanis Club, and do a 15 or 20-minute demonstration in front of people who can hire you and explain what you can do. And taking a performing lesson is great for that.
Really is such a great piece of advice right there. It makes you stand out from all the other hypnotists that are afraid to go up on stage. And I shouldn't say afraid, because we're all afraid when we first go up on stage. We broke through it. So you're going to break through that. You may still feel afraid. Do it anyway. Such great advice, Kevin. Thanks again for that. I want to remind everybody, go download the Hypnosis Hero app. It's in the Google Play Store. It'll be on iPhone soon. Becca, I know you're listening. I am actually turned it over to my assistant, so it may actually get done now. So fingers crossed, she's going to get that done for us by the end of this month, into August. Thank you, Chris. You're awesome. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Shawn, you're awesome. Brian, you're awesome. Kevin, again, thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you someday in person. Really.
Definitely.
Really. I'm glad we had a chance to connect like this.
Hey, there's always a reason to come out to Vegas.
Absolutely. There is. All right, everybody. Take care. Be well. Be awesome.
Stay free.